Cincinnati has a deep tennis tradition whose longevity was ensured when it was awarded the ATP Tour's highest honor, a Mercedes Super 9 status. Great American Insurance ATP Championship is what it's called. And listen to this, it's Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, mouth-watering 2 words to any promoter. What is not quite as pleasant is the weather today. There's still a chance of rain, maybe even a slight drizzle as we speak to you. Friendly hello, everybody. I'm Cliff Drysdale. It's actually a beautiful story here in Cincinnati. The top 4 seeds are still alive in the semifinal. It's going to be a huge day today. It's going to be a huge night tonight as well. 8 o'clock Eastern time, you can see Patrick Rafter take on Yevgeny Kafelnikov, another very compelling matchup. It's very simple. It's very interesting. The race for #1 continues. At the moment, Sampras is on top, but barely. Kafelnikov just behind him, and Agassi also close. Whoever does the best here in the next couple of days will, on Monday, be the #1 player in the world. As for Patrick Rafter of Australia, he could not have played any better than he did yesterday against Michael Chang, who is trying desperately to make a comeback. He's on his favorite surface, but Patrick Rafter really took it to him yesterday. It was a slaughter. Here's how it was. Patrick Rafter, 2-time U.S. Open champ against Michael Chang, who has 1 French crown under his belt. In the first set, there were some terrific points because they are both hustlers and battlers. Rafter so quick to get to the net. Michael Chang so quick to get to just about any ball. But look at the speed here from Patrick Rafter as he grabs that one and gets it back in court. Michael Chang, the message was clear. He had to come up with something very special. Trying for the lob. No, says Rafter. Emphatically that time he says no, and Rafter easily wins the first set, 2 breaks. Second set, more of the same. Still the hustle. Look at this. He tries to get to that one, but then again Rafter with the overhead put away, and whatever he tried just didn't work. On the other hand, whatever Patrick Rafter did was brilliant yesterday. Here's match point. Chang sidelined for this event, and Patrick Rafter joins the other big 3 of men's tennis in the semifinal. So let me introduce you now to Patrick McEnroe. Patrick, we are going to see some very good, you'd like to say huge stuff, and tonight's match is going to be a good one because Rafter was brilliant yesterday.
Maybe not just huge, Cliff, but monstrous today with Sampras and Agassi in the first semifinal. Kafelnikov, Rafter. The last time that we've had the top 4 seeds in any event in men's tennis was in '93 Wimbledon. Sampras, Courier, Becker, Edberg, and we've got the big 4 here. 3 of them with a real chance to be #1. Whoever does the best out of those 3 will be there. And all of these guys in the semifinals have won multiple Grand Slams, and all of them hold Grand Slam titles right now, Cliff. That is what makes this weekend so beautiful.
We have something very special, though, and what I really like about the matchup between these 2 giants, Patrick, is that they say that they like to play each other. They also say that when they play against each other, they bring out the best of each other, and it's true.
It is true, and they do like to play against each other. They love that challenge. They love the fact that going out there on the court, they know they have to play their very best. And as Agassi said yesterday after his win over Kirten, he said, look, I know what I got to do against Pete. Pete knows what he's going to do against me. It's a question of who's going to do it better. And Andre Agassi is going to have to do it better because the last couple of times that they've played, Sampras has gotten the better of him. Of course, the finals at Wimbledon, straight sets there. Then they played in the finals of Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago. 2 tie-break wins for Pete Sampras in winning that one. And something's going to give today, Cliff, because Pete Sampras has won 20 straight matches. Andre Agassi, 23 out of the last 26. 2 of those losses coming to Pete Sampras.
So 2 of the giants of the game underway here. Luke Jensen is going to join us. I guess the other question is when will it start, because there is, as we said, a slight drizzle. It's an all-American showdown. Sampras and Agassi. Andre Agassi, this year's French Open champion. He has won them all now. Pete Sampras, 12 Grand Slam titles. Showdown time. ESPN and the ATP Tour's presentation of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com. First of two semi-final matches today. Pete Sampras will take on Andre Agassi. Now, for the moment, there is the slightest drizzle. Let's go down to Luke Jensen. He's with the ATP Tour supervisor, and maybe he has some more on the weather.
Fast Eddie Hardesty, tell me all about what's going on. What's the protocol for this type of rain delay?
Well, I mean, we're going to wait. There's not enough to really make the court too wet, but it's enough to stop play because it's slippery. So we're going to wait until there's no precipitation in the air. If necessary, we'll dry the lines with towels, especially the white lines, because they tend to be slicker than the court, and then we'll get the boys on.
Now, is it tough for you to hold the players back? I know they were really antsy trying to get out and get this match going.
Yeah, I mean, obviously both guys were ready for a 2 o'clock start. They prepared for that. Now we're in a holding pattern. It's going to make it more difficult for both guys.
What's the forecast?
The forecast is for good weather.
All right. This guy's given me a lot of fines over the years. Back to you guys in the booth.
Thank you, Luke. It is a matchup between two, make that 4 of tennis's giants, Patrick.
4 heavyweights in the quarterfinal matchups weren't bad either. Sampras had lost to Krajicek 4 times in a row, but played a tough first set and then cruised in the second 4-2. Agassi over Kirten. Henman, Kafelnikov. Henman had a good week, but Kafelnikov too consistent. And then Rafter just dominant last night in destroying Chang in that last quarterfinal.
Patrick Rafter took out Vacek, and Nicholas Lepenti, the number 15 seed. He was the number 2 seed, so he got a bye in the first round. As for Yevgeny Kafelnikov, he beat Chris Woodruff, who had taken out Thomas Enquist. We are going to get players, it seems, in just a second. You can see the officials doing their march to their respective positions. They have played 26, well, 25 times, actually. This is their 26th meeting. And the third in the last 3 events in which they've both entered. Sampras leads 15-10.
And look at that, in the last 42 days, this will be their 3rd match, of course, LA and Wimbledon. They played 3 times last year. Agassi won 2 of those 3. They were all on hard courts.
Sampras has won 20 straight matches, surrendering only 6 of his last 51 sets. Agassi has won 23 of his last 26 matches. Just to, as you know, you've already talked about these things, Patrick, but it's worthwhile emphasizing it, I think.
Actually, a slight correction. One of the matches they played last year was on clay in Monte Carlo. Actually, Sampras won that, so Agassi won the 2 played on hard courts.
Together, they have accounted for 100 tour titles during their careers. Sampras has got 59, 3 this year. Agassi has 41, 2 this year. Sampras has won 16 of his last 19 ATP Tour finals. That's a remarkably good percentage. One of them that he lost was here a year ago.
To Patrick Rafter. And that just shows you, Cliff, how great Sampras is once he gets into the thick of a tournament. And that's the one thing where Agassi needs to improve upon, if there is one thing, is that he knows now that Sampras plays better as the tournament goes on. Sometimes Andre Agassi will play his best tennis early in the week when he's pummeling lesser ranked players. But actually this week, Andre struggled a bit in a couple of his matches over Yuri Novak. He won in 2 tiebreaks, didn't look that solid in that match. And then yesterday against Kirten, you know, it was a tough second set, a spotty match. Semifinal records, there you see. Sampras 14-4 in the slams, Agassi 9-7 in the Super 9s. Actually, Agassi a much better record in the Super 9s. They're 13-3. They both won 9 Super 9 titles.
Here is Andre on playing Pete. Playing Pete in any situation requires you to be at your best. He's been good for my career in many ways, and a pain, an expletive, which in many other ways. It's the only time when you come to the park that you know that even if you're playing your best, you might lose. That's Andre Agassi.
Here's our tail of the tape here. Majors 1. Sampras 6 Wimbledons, 4 U.S. Opens, 2 Australians, 0 Frenches. That's where Agassi's got him. He's got 1 of each. And 9, as I said, Mercedes Super 9 titles for each of them.
Here's what Pete says about playing against Andre. You walk out, you warm up with him, and it's just a little bit different than playing another player that I've ever played in my career. When we're both playing well, it's fun tennis to play, fun tennis to watch, I'm sure. The difference is 1 or 2 points against him, and I have to be playing at my best and firing on all cylinders, and I really need to be on top of my game to beat him. If I'm not, and it's going to be a long day. That sums it up. A lot of respect for each other, these two.
And Sampras's record this year is exceptional. He had some early rough spots after he skipped the Australian Open, went out early in a couple of the Super 9s out in the desert in Palm Springs, down in Key Biscayne, and of course struggled on the clay where he had a disappointing loss to Medvedev. Medvedev, of course, ended up getting all the way to the final, having a 2-set-to-love lead against this man, Andre Agassi, who just fulfilled the dream, Cliff, of winning the French Open. And now he's won every Grand Slam. He realizes, I think, every day what he's accomplished, how big it is. Only 4 other men in the history of tennis have been able to do it. Agassi 37-9 this year and playing very well as of late, along with Sampras.
Good news is the drizzle has stopped, so they got a little late start, but are underway, or will be soon. We'll take a break, and when we come back, they will be closer to being first ball in the air. Sampras, Agassi, the showdown in a minute. This crowd was humming, or it's still humming, but it was really jumping a second ago with the introduction of these two players. It's like a heavyweight fight, and that's the truth of the matter. Pete Sampras, number 1. Andre Agassi, number 3. Patrick Raft is the number 2 seed. Evgeny Kafelnikov, the number 4 seed. Let's go down to Luke Jensen. He's been talking to Pete Sampras' coach. Luke.
Actually, not Pete Sampras' coach, Andre Agassi's coach, Brad Gilbert. And I asked Brad, what is going to be the difference today? And this is what he had to say.
Well, obviously, I think the big key is the start. He got up to a bit of a poor start in L.A., got down 3-0 and battled his way back, and that was the only break in the match. I think he's going to have to take it to him from the ground and not let Pete dictate the pace of the match and get in the net too much.
It's Agassi and Gilbert who really come up with strategies, and in Los Angeles, it was that slow start that really helped Sampras take over Agassi and go after him. Cliff, today is a big day for Andre Agassi to get off to a good start, to go after Sampras's backhand and try to go after the world #1 player with that shot.
Look, what do you think that Paul Annacone would have said? He is Pete Sampras' coach.
Well, number 1, I did speak with Paul Annacone, and Annacone said, hey, I want my player, Pete Sampras, to hit a good high percentage of first serves. You don't want Andre Agassi to dictate off that return game. If you let Andre dictate, then Pete's going to have a lot of trouble hitting the ball around the court, dictating with the forehand and the first serve. So it's important for Pete to have a high percentage of first serves.
Well, Cliff, Brad Gilbert talking about the importance of getting off to a good start, and this tells you why. The winner of the first set has won 18 of the 25 meetings between these two superstars.
Before we get underway, just one piece of business. One of our great friends, Mr. Ross Case, Wimbledon champion. In fact, he and his partner took out me and my partner at the senior event at Wimbledon this year. Having his little problems with the heart, he went through an angioplasty this week. Ross, I'm sure that you are watching this live coverage. Semi-final, ATP Tour. And our very best to you, and hope that you have a very, very quick recovery. Brad Gilbert, Andre Agassi's coach.
He's got the long sleeve shirt on today, and that may be a factor, Cliff, because it's much cooler here than normal in Cincinnati at this time of year. And I think that could potentially hurt Sampras a bit more. Sampras actually likes the heat because it really loosens him up, and he's able to pop his shoulder, loosen his shoulder up. So that could play a factor here. Pete Sampras obviously going over the strategy with his coach, Paul Annacone, who's been with Pete the last couple of years. But really between these two guys, as I said at the top, Cliff, they know each other so well. They know each other better than anyone, really, these two players. And it's a question of who's going to come up with the big shots when it counts. Who's going to play their type of tennis at the crucial times. Only active players above 500 against top 10. Sampras way above 500, and Agassi slightly.
Talking about people who know each other well, Patrick, you and I and our producers and directors, a small band of merry men, travel the world and watch tennis matches and bring them to you. One of us has a birthday today. His name is Bob Rosberg Jr. Happy birthday to him. First point to Sampras. Best of 3 for a place in the final of this Great American Insurance ATP Championship, a Mercedes Super 9.
certainly a happy birthday to our man Rossi, but also Pete Sampras celebrated a birthday a couple days ago. Cliff turned 28. And they had a nice birthday cake for him after he won his match in the press room.
There's one other birthday that we forgot this last week. It was Rod Laver. I think that was on Monday.
One of the other four to have won all four majors, along with Agassi. Of course, the other three, Cliff, Don Budge, Roy Emerson, and Fred Perry. Andre joining that pretty exclusive company, I'd say. There they are, the Grand Five.
Don Budge won them all in 1 year. Laver did that twice.
Yep. Of course, 3 of those 4 at that time were all on grass, right?
Yep.
Well, interesting strategy early from Sampras, who's not showing too much effects from the cool weather with his second serve, really attacking at 108 miles per hour and following it in every time against Agassi here. He knows he's got to get to net. Keep the pressure on Andre.
Pete Sampras wins the first game. We are live in Cincinnati for the Great American Insurance ATP. It is Sampras and Agassi. Enough said. One game to love. Sampras, Agassi to serve. 8 o'clock tonight. You can watch the second of the 2 semifinals. Yevgeny Kafelnikov, who he's playing some outstanding tennis, will take on Patrick Rafter. You can say the exact same thing about him. That's going to be just a great match.
Well, Kafelnikov, the only other guy in the last 26 matches other than Sampras to have beaten Agassi, and he put a pummeling on Agassi last week up in Canada. Really shocked Andre.
He made it look easy, didn't he?
How will Agassi come out of the gates? Good start for Sampras on serve. Will Sampras trying to send an early message and attack the second?
That is long. Love 15.
Love 15.
Evgeny Kafelnikov, 178 points behind Sampras. Agassi, 351. Patrick Rafter is close, but he can't make it this weekend.
Well, Sampras missing, but missing with a purpose, even though he hit that way long. Letting Agassi know as he sort of shakes his head, says, where'd that come from? But showing Agassi that he's going to step around and try to hit the big forehand. Oh, baby. Sampras just tempting Agassi. He says, come on, go for that one up the line. Come on, go for it. And then see what I can do with this running forehand. That is awesome. He just kept rolling that backhand cross court. Teasing Andre. Hit that backhand up the line.
15-30. Agassi, meanwhile, hitting virtual half volleys from the baseline. Amazing how well he does that. Big serve.
Andre responds with a huge second. Didn't take long for this thing to start getting the juices flowing. Watch this second serve. Watch Sampras now. Watch him cheat to the left. He wants the forehand. Agassi says no. I'm keeping you honest early. Big time to do it at 15-30.
30 all now. 1 to Sampras. Yeah, he snuck in there. Well played. He had the good backhand, and he knew it was into Sampras's weaker link.
He has really improved his skills up in net, Agassi. He gets Sampras on the run. A pretty good defensive chip backhand, and Andre has to play a tough volley, but firmly and confidently attacks that ball.
Game point.
Both players hitting the ball so clean. And Sampras' backhand looks like it did in that Wimbledon final, and that can only say one thing: if that continues, trouble for Andre.
Oh, slight mishit landed in. Sampras with the error of the backhand, and again, game point Agassi. Trouble for Agassi, but he held on, and it's 1 game all first set.
And I like the way he held on, Cliff. He got into net and played a solid volley. He hit a big second serve, and then he finishes the game off with a huge one out wide. And that is a type of tennis that both these guys know they have to play to win this one today.
Left, first service.
You know, I asked Sampras during the Davis Cup weekend, how do you go out there in the Wimbledon final playing Agassi and come up with some of those shots that you hit, and you really hadn't played that type of tennis all year? And he says, you know, he said, it's funny. He says, I just knew that nothing else was going to win it. And I sort of get into this zone when I almost don't even think. You know, the thing I was thinking about was those backhands down the line he hit in that first set. Just smoked him. And that's not a shot that he normally comes up with, Sampras. And he says it's almost like it's an out-of-body experience. I just know that I have to take my game to a whole nother level, and somehow I'm able to do it.
Not for the same reason, but I thought Rafter was in that mode yesterday against Chang. He's never questioning himself, just going for exactly what he knew he had to do. Dirty love, Sampras. Our summer tennis extravaganza continues next week, everyone, at the RCA Championships in Indianapolis. Sampras will be there.
Agassi will be at another tour stop next week, Cliff, in Washington. Players splitting up next week. Agassi doesn't like the call. It did look a little bit wide.
I can't touch that one.
Chair Up says that he cannot touch it. You're watching live coverage of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship. It is Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras in the first of 2 semi-final matches to be played today. Tonight at 8 o'clock, excuse me, 8 o'clock, you can watch the other one. That'll be between Kafelnikov and Rafter. Game to Sampras without the loss of a point. 2 games to 1. Sampras over Agassi. Agassi will serve, and we come back to Mason, Ohio. On serve, 2 games to 1. First set of this first semi-final of the day coming up later today at 4 o'clock on ESPN. Final round coverage. USGA Women's Amateur Championship in the final. Dorothy de la Sin takes on Jimin Kang. Action tees off today, 4 o'clock on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Women's golf after tennis today.
15 up.
Agassi knows, Cliff, that he's going to have to mix his serves up a bit. Yes, he can pound the big one as he did on the last game on the service point. The add-in that he had, but he's going to have to mix it up and get some short balls and attack it as he just did on that first point. Because if he lets Sampras look at too many second serves, he knows that Pete's going to attack him. And then also, as we've seen in the first 3.5 games, that Sampras is hitting the ball very well from the ground. And Agassi knows that Sampras can out-hit him from the back.
30-15.
And the wind is a factor again today. It's breezy. Breezy and cool. And if you just joined us, we started a little late because it was drizzling at the top of the hour.
Beware the running forehand of Pete Sampras. Oh, look at Pete. He just has to laugh because he knows that it's all clicking right now. This is like that point they played at the U.S. Open final. Remember that rally and that set? It was set point. And look at this. Corner to corner, angle to angle. Who's going to flinch first? Look at this camera shot. Beautiful. And Sampras again. No way he's going to get to that one. He gets to it and crushes it. Good scramble from Agassi. And the backhand winner.
30-all.
40-30.
Followed up by the ace.
This is just too much. Just who can one-up each other.
Yeah.
This is a 4th game, and this is scary already. What tennis. First ace for Agassi. Good second from Agassi.
Agassi has not lost his serve. It is 2 games all in the first set. Sampras has only lost 1 point so far on his serve.
Remember what Brad Gilbert said. It's crucial for Andre to stay with Pete early and not let Pete be the front runner. And that's why these first 2 games have been so crucial for Agassi to hold serve.
124-mile-an-hour clean ace.
So much for my thinking that maybe the cool weather and the little delay might factor in a little bit to the way these guys would play. This is tennis at its best right here. Another big bomb from Sampras.
Agassi said to me yesterday, I mean, walked around and I'm sitting in the locker room. He says, "You ready for tomorrow?"
We're ready. We're pumped.
But he is so pumped.
Yeah.
I mean, he just wants everybody to join in this celebration of tennis because they play great matches, these two. Still lost only 1 point on his serve.
Game. Sampras.
Dominating on his own serve games, Agassi has struggled a little more. He'll serve, and we come back to this live coverage of the Great American Insurance in Mason. Pete Sampras with a lead, 3 games to 2, first set. This is week 2 of our summer of tennis. RCA Championships next week in Indianapolis. Mark Philippoussis is going to make a comeback there. Patrick Rafter is the #2 seed behind Andre Agassi. Carlos Moya, who has been #1, is the number 4 seed. And Marcelo Rios is, again, I mean, he's in the list. We'll see whether he actually
We'll see
starts.
whether he shows up. He's pulled out of the last 2 tournaments with leg problems.
But Gustavo Kuerten, good, very, very good field again in Indianapolis. And we start again there on Monday. But bear in mind, we have a lot more here this weekend. The final tomorrow, and then the other semi tonight at 8. Agassi serving, 15 love, 2-3 first set. This is best of 3. Kafelnikov, Raft are the other semi-finalists. The top 4 seeds, all alive.
Agassi showing the running forehand as part of his repertoire as well. Sampras with a beautiful approach, shaking the backhand early right here. Look where Agassi is. Look how much ground he has to cover. Gets there and snaps at it.
Great return. It's actually like 4 players that are peaking at the same time as well, with Pete Sampras not having lost since the French Championships. Andre Agassi having a really great summer and playing about as well as he can play at the moment. The same is true of Evgeny Kafelnikov, and Rafter last night was nothing short of spectacular.
And that's what Rafter told us after that match last night, Cliff. He said, now I feel like my summer is kicked into gear.
There goes the first string of the day. Put that on the stats.
Put that on the stats, because these guys are just... It sort of reminds me of that Hagler-Hearns fight. Remember that one years ago? I think it was Hagler-Hearns. The first couple rounds, they were just bombarding each other. These guys have pulled out their best stuff early, just at 3 games all after 21 minutes. Andre says, all right, I'll take a quick breather.
Why did Pete Sampras make that stroll down there, Patrick? I couldn't quite figure that out.
I think he lost his little vibrator dampener that the players have in their string. So when you break the string, it pops out.
So he was looking for it.
I think he went to grab it, yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, he's not supposed to be wasting a lot of time. You break a string. It's a 3 games all. There's no change of ends here. That's why Agassi went took a seat waiting for Pete to gather his equipment.
He knows that Pete always, when he breaks a string, he always likes to sit down on the change or on his bench and pick out his new racket. And I mean, let's face it, Cliff, this is Sampras and Agassi, okay? We're not going to nitpick on time here. I mean, even the umpires have common sense, you know? And if it was the first round on court 12, you know, they might say, hey, come on, start playing here.
Actually, it was just an innocent question about why he was going on a little walkabout, and you answered it very satisfactorily.
Glad you appreciated it. First double for Sampras, adjusting to the new racket.
Love 15 at 3-all.
15-all.
Both of these guys, as we see the cool temperature, I think it's actually a bit cooler than that. Both players will have all their rackets restrung the day of the match. We always talk about that very thin gauge that Pete Sampras uses in his racket, and that's why he breaks so many strings. Agassi different. He has a bigger head, the racket, and he uses a combination of a nylon string across the racket and then a gut string going up and down. And you can see Agassi's little rubber band there. That's instead of the the thing that Sampras' racket company makes. He has a little rubber band in his racket.
It's a dampener, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little dampener, but he just used a good old-fashioned rubber band. And he likes the difference of the nylon string and the gut because he thinks that it gives him the control of the nylon and the power that you would get from using gut. Did that make sense?
Doesn't to me. Game point.
40,
But if he thinks it does, then
It seems to be working. This is that
Exactly.
second double for Sampras. Safe to say that both these guys very, very particular about how their rackets are.
and very
Yeah.
thoughtful on the whole issue. Game point. Lost the first point on a double fault. Running forehand, but not
Sampras.
quick enough to do anything effective with the lob. Sampras wins the game. 4-3 on serve. Agassi has had a little more
Sampras
trouble
leads
holding
4-3.
serve than Sampras.
4-3.
He'll serve, and we come back live to Cincinnati. On serve, 4-3. Agassi to serve here. We continue our live coverage of the Great American Insurance ATP. Join us later this month as the best in Little League Baseball head for Williamsport, Pennsylvania for the Little League World Series. Our coverage beginning August 22nd at 3 p.m. and then at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. For more on this subject, please log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.
There you see Paul Einecone all the way on the left of your screen, and on the right, Brad Gilbert. So these guys all get along. Of course, Gilbert and Einecone played together at the same time on the tour, and there's a tremendous amount of respect between the Agassi and Sampras camp. And
15-11.
everyone knows how great this matchup is for tennis and how it brings out the best in each of their guys. And that's certainly what we've seen in the first 7 games here today. You also know that there's no secrets in this
15
one.
all.
Just great tennis, and that's what we've seen so far. And clearly Agassi struggling more on serve. Oh,
That's a great return, 15-30.
yeah, Sampras read that serve. He was leaning towards that one. Sometimes there's just little things you can pick up in the motion of your serve. It returns in play. Sampras, total of 5 on the forehand. Or is that a total of 5 and 9 in play?
30 all.
Sampras certainly can do more damage with that forehand return.
Going for the big strike on that backhand as well, but a miss-hit wasn't even close. A few of those today. 30 all.
Good pace from Agassi on the pass. He didn't try to go for too much. He knew that
30.
Sampras wasn't in the greatest of volleying position, so he ripped the backhand and forced the error from the backhand volley of Sampras.
Sampras nevertheless keeping the pressure on him by coming into the net. Game point.
Game, Agassi.
And game to Agassi, so he holds on. It is 4 games all in the first set. One of the most remarkable
4 games
shots in
all.
tennis to me is the sort of almost a half volley from the baseline that Agassi can hit. It is very difficult to get Agassi on his heels. This was the first shot. Now he gets, look at this, is hit very powerfully. Now look where this ball bounces, how close it is to him and how early he has to hit it. For most people, that is a virtually impossible shot. They've got to back up. He stays right there on the baseline and hits the ball early. It's a remarkable talent.
15 love.
So is that serve.
Yeah.
Such a fluid motion. Sampras knows he's got to come up with the big ones today. That's 4 aces. And he's really pestering Agassi with that big serve up the middle.
That half volley had a little spin on it, and Agassi just had no options, really.
Well, big break from Sampras there, because Agassi on top of this return. Sampras trying to change up. Look where Agassi is. Inside the service line. I mean, inside the baseline. Sampras got lucky. He mishit that one. Look how quickly that ball's on top of him. No luck in that half volley. Just a great pickup. Agassi really fought that serve off well.
They have both run at this stage 4/10 of a mile. 4 games all first set. Sampras slightly slower mover than Agassi. But he's had no trouble holding on his own serve. 5 games to 4 first set. Live from Cincinnati, this Mercedes Super 9 called the Great American Insurance. Pete Sampras leading 5 games to 4. Andre Agassi about to serve. Pete Sampras has been the #1 player in the world for 6 straight years, and he's been through some pretty hard times personally in his life. Good friend Vitas Gerulaitis dying in a remarkably unfortunate accident in '94, and then his coach Tim Gullickson for so long succumbed to brain cancer in 1996. Those were traumatic times for him. But Sampras has held his head high through all of it. He has been a great champion for tennis.
Well, see how important now it was that Agassi able to hold those first 2 games when Sampras really had him under pressure. Now Sampras starting to make a few more unforced errors from the baseline. Agassi starting to control those rallies. And serving very well. And mixing it up is Agassi. Swinging that one out wide. Just what Agassi wants, a quick service game here to get it to 5-all.
Game, Agassi.
Very authoritative in that game for Agassi. The most of the match so far, and it's 5 games all in the first set.
5 games on.
Pete Sampras, #1 in the world, as we mentioned already, for 6 straight years. He really put a lot into it at the end of last year. He said those last few months, it was great that I did it, but it wasn't fun. I was miserable. He's taken a different tack this year, wanting to play Davis Cup after he saw the great effort by the US taking out Great Britain in the first round. Maybe at the expense of #1, but I think he's taken the pressure off that #1 thing, and in a way maybe playing even better.
Sampras has been dominant on serve, coming to net. There's another one. He's now won 20 of the last 22 points. Sampras on serve. And it looks eerily similar to the final in LA 2 weeks ago when they played 2 tie breaks. Sampras winning both tie breaks handily.
30 love.
Jumped too soon, but it seemed like he was able to stay in the air a bit longer to get this. Watch this. Watch Sampras now. Here comes the lob up now. Freeze that. Look at that. Look at that stretch. Great elevation there. Great work from our camera guys, too, to get that freeze.
There, Sampras getting himself another easy serve game, 6-5.
Sampras leads.
The worst that can happen to him now is a tiebreak in the first set. Sampras in front of Agassi, semifinal. 5-6, Agassi to serve, semifinal, the first of two. We are live in Cincinnati. Let's go for a Luke Jensen check.
With one of the greatest players in American tennis history, Tony Traber. And Tony, these guys have been battling all year. This is the third time they played. If you were coaching Agassi and you're 0-2 this year, how would you tell him to play?
Stay off the forehand. That's one thing I'd say for sure. I think he ought to come in a little bit more. It's not his nature, but he could come off those ground strokes and make Sampras have to make the passing shot off the backhand side, and I'd cover down the line where Pete likes to go.
Is it great being a Cincinnati Bearcat and coming back home?
Well, that's always great to come back here. I'm sitting next to one of my favorites. Paul Flores made this tournament a success it is. And it's always special for me to come home and to see this full stadium and these kind of players playing just makes me very happy.
Now, you've seen Laver, Hode, Gonzalez. Where do you put Sampras in the greatest of all time?
Well, I'd certainly put him in the top 5. It's so impossible to do, you know. You just don't know how they play against one another, but certainly he's one of the all-time greats.
Well, one of our all-time greats is Cliff Drysdale, and we're going back to you.
Thank you, Luke. Patrick McEnroe up here alongside me. 30 love. Agassi serving to get into the tiebreak. I talked about the history of Cincinnati when we were opening the show, Patrick. I was thinking about that man, Tony Traber. He's from here.
Great player himself, Tony, and of course, he was always the guy who used to say the last American to win the French until Chang did it in '89, and then of course Courier did it a couple years. Agassi this year, Tony Traber for many years was known as the last American, and also the great Davis Cup captain for many years for the U.S. team.
Agassi easily. Boy, these guys are not winning too many points against the other serve at the moment. Tiebreak will decide the first set.
6 games all. First set tiebreak.
By the way, I think that Tony Traber, I just don't agree with him. I think that Pete Sampras is without a doubt in the top 1 or 2. I don't see anybody but Rod Laver that can compete with him in the all-time history books. 9th tiebreak.
Between the two of them.
Sampras,
of course, winning the last 2 in L.A., and I think he had the feeling that both these players expected this type of match, and it's going to come down to who can come up with the bigger shot here in this tiebreak.
How great was the tiebreak when Agassi took out Gustavo Kuerten yesterday. 12-10 won by Agassi. Second set. You're watching live coverage of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship. First set, Agassi, Sampras, first semi-final of the day. The other one, Rafter, Kafelnikov, tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, ESPN. In the tiebreak, 1 point all. Cliff Drysdale, Patrick McEnroe, Luke Jensen at courtside.
Two, 1, Agassi.
You can feel the tension and the competitive spirit between these two guys. Sometimes you get to the end of the match, you know, Patrick, and you say, well, at this stage of the match, they both know that they're going to have to play their best and the other guy's not going to give it to them. That starts here, first ball between these two.
Yeah, that started the first swing in the warm-up here. Ooh, that's an opportunity there for Agassi. And I know it's 2 all on the breaker and it's just a second serve, but that was an opportunity for Andre to attack and get a quick lead. He's been dominant. He's won 13 straight points on his serve, Agassi. Just get the feeling that one little break could be enough in this tie break.
Excellent serve again from Agassi that set that up. Sampras is hesitating. I don't know why. He's not happy with the backhand, I guess. I don't think there was a close call that he thought went against him.
I think he just thought he had a good look at that pass. He was a little late to it because of the pace from Agassi. But he missed it badly. And he may also be thinking, I should have played that straight at Andre, make him hit a tough volley. Three points all, excuse me. First set tie break.
Yo, look out for that running forehand of Sampras's.
Well, here's a decision right here for Agassi. Which way do I go? Do I rip it across or do I take a chance? He took a chance, went to the Sampras forehand, and he paid a big price right there.
Mini break for Sampras, 4-3. Boy, that was a good play. I was thinking, just like Sampras, that Agassi was going to go down the line with that two-handed backhand passing shot, and he went cross-court.
So much thought going into each point. Now, that is the first point that Agassi's won against the Sampras first serve. He'd been 18 for 18 before that one, Sampras.
4 points all. He's so safe overhead.
5-4, Sampras.
Good serve set this up for Sampras. He took a little bit off it, swung it wide, and then pretty tough overhead moving backwards. Good scramble from Agassi.
But he didn't go for the hot dog hard hit on that overhead. He just put it in play. 4-5. Dangerous again.
How many times is he going to get burned? And Sampras just sort of tilts his head and says, all right.
6-4.
Agassi right here says, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to unload on it. But way too routine. Sampras was there in plenty of time. And that is a tremendous forehand cross court set point.
That goes wide. Doing exactly the right thing, coming into the net and putting the pressure on Agassi, but he was up to it and then some.
6-5,
the volley
Sampras.
missed by Sampras. Still set point this time on his serve.
Most of Sampras's aces, Cliff, have come right down the middle, down the tee. Will he go for the ace, or will he go for the safer serve and take a little bit off it and go out wide and try to finish it at net? That's what Agassi has to think about here now.
Tell you, the way that Agassi is passing, in fact, the way they're both passing is really sensational. Agassi there had a chance to go. Just take a look at this great return at the feet. Now he gets the ball up. Now watch, this is decision time for both players. Freeze it there. This is decision time. He can hit this thing down the line, or he can go cross court. Just remember his set point. Let it play. He goes cross court. You could see Sampras sort of moving a little bit to his left, and he pays the price. 6-all, tie break.
Wait, please. Sampras.
Set point again. This is his third. He felt safe going into the forehand that time because he knew he was going to get enough and was going to be able to cover it no matter what Sampras came up with. Then he goes into the backhand side and makes the volley.
7-all.
Good strategic move from Agassi. 7-7.
Sampras.
Well, remember what I said, Cliff. It's going to come down to one big shot and maybe one big bad miss. And this one was sitting there for Andre. And Agassi will always go for it, but he cannot believe that that one clipped the net, and he knows now he's in trouble.
Set point for Sampras on his serve. He's been here once before in this tiebreak.
Game, first set, Sampras.
Sampras wins the first set in a tiebreak.
Well, the first set lived up to everything we expected, Cliff, and then some. Pete Sampras gets one big break in the tiebreak, and that running forehand was deadly. Will Sampras be able to go on? He's got the first set.
Take a deep breath, everybody. There's a whole nother set to go. Pete Sampras winning it in the tiebreak in the first. Here was the critical point as you described it, Patrick. That's the second to last point. Take a look at this. Let me get, this is, give me a freeze here. At this point, you can see that Sampras has made the approach. Now the ball hits the net. It's in the air. This is a duck. I mean, there's no way. Sampras is thinking to himself, oh boy, now I'm in serious trouble. Let it roll. Let it roll. And this is why I'm in trouble. Now freeze it again right there, because this is Agassi's one of his best passing shots. He can either go straight down the line, he can go cross court. Sampras knows that. Watch Sampras now as Agassi makes this hit. You see how he started to move to his right, and Agassi missed the shot by a hair. First point, second set. Love 15.
Sampras showing his great footwork here. Watch this big forehand down the line, and watch how quickly he gets to this ball. And his little stutter steps, he gets himself into position, balance. Remember that key stat that we showed you in the first set early. The winner of the first set in this rivalry has won the match 18 out of 25 times. That's why Agassi so disappointed by that big miss at 6-all in the tiebreak. Now in trouble here at love 30.
Love 14.
That's the great scrambling ability there from Sampras there that people don't talk about too much. Sampras able to get there. Agassi attacked that forehand. He got up a great defensive lob and the first break point of the day right here.
Game, Sampras.
What a difference a first set tiebreak makes. Sampras comes out firing in the second set. He's got a break. He'll serve when we come back. Yeah, it's a day of heavyweights. You are watching Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi. Sampras having won the first in the tiebreak, and now one game to love with a break. Two other heavyweights will soon be coming your way. 8 o'clock Eastern time. Kafelnikov and Rafter. Kafelnikov leading their head-to-head by 3 matches to 1. But join us tonight at 8. See how this works out. My own sense is that Rafter is playing just a little better. We'll find out tonight.
Agassi a lot more successful with the backhand return, getting in play. That one he got in play as well. But Sampras, you know, the quick strike ability of Sampras, the ability to know when to step it up a little bit. He knew Agassi was distraught after that first set tiebreak. He comes out in the first game and jumps all over Agassi. There hadn't been one break point in the match. Sampras breaks it love.
Sampras had a hard time with Krajicek in the first set, but the second set he was magical, zonal.
Yeah. Well, Agassi's not going to lose interest. That's clear. We've seen that from him all year long, even when he has struggled. Sampras may be able to run out this set, but not because Agassi's going to give it to him, that's for sure.
15,
we see it here in these 2 points back to back. Again, the backhand return from Agassi is solid, and then he's saying to himself, why didn't I put a little more top on that ball at 6-all on the breaker?
Good point. $15-30.
Agassi kicking himself there. 15-30, second serve, right into his strike zone with the second serve.
You said Andre Agassi is not going to lose interest, Patrick. I got to tell you an inside story. Roy Emerson, alongside Pete Sampras, has the record for the number of Grand Slam singles titles won. It's one of his favorite lines there when he does a lot of these corporate clinics. He says, "Don't lose interest, mate." or if you're not hitting the ball too good, he says, "Lack of interest on that one, mate." Great Roy Emo. 30-all.
$40-30. Game, Sampras. Sampras leads 2 games to love.
2 games to love Sampras.
Well, our friends in Lucin put together a shot chart for us, and these are the points won by Sampras in the match so far. You see he's got some red up here at net, obviously coming into net, and you can see they're both going predominantly backhand to backhand. Sampras winning most of those points, not most, 56% of the points in the match, a little bit more than Agassi. We'll look at Agassi's after this point. So that's pretty straightforward, those points won by Sampras. But this is the interesting part to me. Agassi is winning more points by moving Sampras around a little bit more to the middle of the court. And you see where Agassi is? Look at all those spots. That means that he's inside the baseline, and that's where he has to be to win points. Most of his points come from off that first, second shot after the serve. It also shows to me that Agassi's going to have to take some more chances on the Sampras serve and try to take it earlier, because that's where he's going to win a lot of his points. Remember, Sampras actually moves better from the back of the court than Agassi. When they get into some rallies there, Sampras a lot of times coming out on top. Agassi's got to try to keep Pete on the move.
I remember talking to Agassi's dad, Mike, a long time ago now, actually, and he was an Olympic boxer, actually, and living in Las Vegas, which is where Andre was born. And he said that he was his first coach, because he was also a tennis coach, and he put Andre on the baseline, and he just never let him back up from the baseline, no matter how deep the ball was hit to him. basically just told him to hit it as hard as he could and not back up, and that's basically the way he still plays for the most part.
Well, that's what he did on that point, but Sampras just unloading on that backhand. Almost nailed Agassi in the chest on that.
30-all.
What's this one here? He didn't expect this pace. That just handcuffed him.
Big point here. He's down a break and down a set. Cannot afford to go down 2 with Sampras serving on the other side.
Sampras looking to pull away now.
Same kind of thing he did with Krajicek, whom he had not beaten in 4 tries. 1 minute short of an hour old this match.
This is called extending the lead, Cliff, like a basketball team that's up by 5 at the break, and they come out and they go on a 15-0 run. That's what Sampras is looking at right now to put this match out of reach.
Break point.
And Agassi knows it.
He could not have played that point any better. He comes up with a half volley deep. Then he approaches about as well as he could hit the ball into the Sampras backhand, which is supposed to be the vulnerable side, but Sampras with the winner. 3-love, 2 breaks. Pete Sampras looking very strong now. Tiebreak the first set was a slightly different story, but he won it, and he leads 3 games to love with 2 breaks. Join us tomorrow for the Weetabix Women's British Open from Milton Keynes, England. Eben Timming was leading after 2 rounds. Annika Sorenstam and Carrie Webb within striking distance. Final round action begins tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on ESPN2. For more on this subject, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Here is the reaction from Sampras after the backhand pass, clean winner. That gives him 2 breaks in the second.
It also gives him 12 ground stroke winners, Cliff, and only 4 in this match for Agassi.
Let's go down to Luke Jensen. He's just been talking to Paul Annacone, Sampras' coach.
Yeah, Sampras' coach, and he said that, of course, he wanted to go out and attack Agassi. And the key, especially in the first set, was taking advantage of some big opportunities. That huge point in the tiebreaker where Agassi missed the passing shot. And he was also impressed with the way Pete was hitting that running forehand. And after the LA Open, he had a couple of days off. And he says he works on that running forehand. You feed him a couple of backhands, he rolls the backhand, and then you kind of, Annacone will nail a volley or a ground stroke to that open court, and then Pete will hit like 50 or 20 every day, that running forehand, exploding for passing shots and ground stroke winners. Back to you, Cliff.
Thank you, Luke. It sure has showed today, hasn't it? He's hit a couple, actually, from the beginning. I can't remember a running forehand that he missed. Missed a couple of forehands when he's been waiting for him.
He's had 3 or 4 clean winners off that one from what Agassi thought were defensive positions for Sampras. And cruising again on serve. He's only lost 2 points, Sampras, when he's gotten the first serve in all match. So that enables him to do what he did there. Just go for a big second serve at 40-love. Sort of a freebie there for Sampras. So full of confidence on that serve now. Agassi has not had a break point. Hasn't come close, really.
Okay, Sampras.
That's 6 clean aces. He has a lot of unreturnable serves as well for Sampras. 4 games to love. He's making it look easy. Quick reminder that between Sampras, as you take a look at the unreturned serves of Pete Sampras, quick reminder that Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, and Yevgeny Kafelnikov are in a race for #1 this weekend. Looks for all the world that Sampras is going to win this one now with 2 breaks and a set.
Well, it's nice, Cliff, that we actually have really a legitimate race now for #1. We're in a big tournament. We've got the top 4 players in the world. We don't have the guys sort of backdooring it into #1. It's going to be one on the court now. We've got the best players doing it against each other. That is what we all like to see. Sampras taking his game to a level that should be bestowed upon for a #1 player. Oh.
Love 30.
Well, we saw the zone from Rafter. He's saying, come on, I'm in the zone now. Let's hear it. Crowd just disappointed because they want to see a 3-setter. He's saying, I'm putting on a clinic here.
He's human.
Look at him. He's pumped up. He's loving it. He's enjoying himself now. He's seen Agassi do those sprints, you know, to the sideline during this week to get himself pumped up. Andre just struggling to win points right now. Sampras exploding off the ground.
30 lovers. Agassi tries to avoid a skunk here in the second set. First set could not have been closer. Second set has been all Sampras.
4 aces for Agassi.
40, 30.
Well, you better get out and practice that running forehand. He's really struggling with it now.
Game point. You know, there's a different dynamic when Agassi's on the court with anybody, to be truthful. There's an electricity in the air because of both his personality, but more importantly to me, his game. You put him up against Sampras, and it just expands that whole feeling.
Advantage, Sampras.
Agassi just saying, not again. I mean, I saw this in Wimbledon on grass. Sampras is home away from home, but on hard court, when that's supposed to be sort of even up against Sampras, and just winners coming from everywhere. This is the type of backhand that Agassi needs to come up with down the line.
Cheers.
And that is tough to do consistently. Agassi feeling the pressure, has had to hit a lot of second serves the last 2 games. That's given Sampras the opportunity to just go for the return.
Advantage, Agassi.
Sampras didn't like the call on that serve and did look a bit long. See him hesitate. Now taking a look at the mark. Andre's first serve percentage at 32% for this set.
Game, Agassi.
Agassi's on the board in the second, 4-1. First set to Sampras in the tiebreak. He's got 2 breaks in the second for a place in the final. You are watching live coverage of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship from Mason, Ohio, suburb of Cincinnati. Pete Sampras taking on Andre Agassi in the first of 2 semi-final matches that will be played today. Yevgeny Kafelnikov will take on Patrick Rafter tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. Sampras won the first set in the tiebreak. In the second set, he got away to a big and early lead, and he leads 4-1 behind 2 breaks now. He's serving in the second. Cliff Drysdale, Patrick McEnroe, Luke Jensen at courtside.
Love 15.
Just a second double in the match for Sampras. Excuse me, the fourth, second in this set. Certainly didn't expect to see Agassi get to break point in this fashion. 3 straight doubles, and this is the first break point for Agassi all day.
Well, Patrick, that's why you get the big bucks to explain a game like that.
Let's see, how can I explain that one?
4 games to 2.
Mickey sing.
Overconfidence, maybe? Brad Gilbert saying, huh, well, maybe we are back in this thing.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. 3 double faults when he's playing such great tennis.
50 love.
I mean, he looked untouchable. Wasn't it just a few seconds ago that he had break points to go up 5 love?
Yep.
30 love.
We'd be setting up for the interview right now. Instead, Agassi comes back with 2 bombs.
I don't
know, Agassi must be saying, what month is this? I mean, Christmas holiday season is come early. Second serve clean ace. Players will change ends, and we now, after 6 aces for Agassi, have got a very different story in the second set. 4-3, still a breakdown. Can Sampras regroup? One of the most remarkable turnarounds that I have ever seen. There were 8 straight points in that last segment, the quickest segment, 2-game segment that I think I've ever covered. 4-3 now. Sampras leads. He's still got the break in the second. He won the first in a very, very close tiebreak.
Well, Sampras makes sure of that first point to get the first ball in. Didn't go after that serve, spun it out wide. Agassi overhitting on that return. And he can unload the big one with the comfort of that first point. Ace number 7. Looks like it didn't take him long to regroup, Cliff.
No.
40 love.
And Sampras, when it gets tight, as it did in this game early, he made sure he found the Agassi forehand. Remember our stats showing that Agassi gets a lot more returns in play against Sampras off the backhand side. There's another miss on the forehand.
Sampras leads 5 games to 3.
Not exactly easy for Agassi to come up with some returns, even with that break, as he's sort of looks like he's struggling with his eyes a little bit. Because Sampras in that game that he got broken, double faulted 3 straight times. So it wasn't like Agassi got any confidence on the return.
Love 15.
Agassi catching the double fault bug. It's just his first, though.
Followed up by, I guess that's technically not an ace, but it's about as close as you can get to one. 15 all.
Yep. 30-15.
Game points for Agassi.
Such a nip and tuck first set, Cliff. Has been a bizarre, really, second set. I mean, Sampras coming out of the blocks on fire in a total zone. Agassi just shell-shocked. Now both players really struggling to put a ball in play.
Game, Agassi.
The last time that Sampras served from the side that he's going to now, he served 3 straight double faults. He'll be serving for the match from that same side when we come back. Great American Insurance ATP Championship. We are in Mason, Ohio, near Cincinnati. Pete Sampras winning the first set in a tiebreak, leading 5-4. He's serving for the match now. Tonight at 8, you can watch the other semi-final match between Evgeny Kafelnikov, the number 4 seed, and Patrick Rothler of Australia, the number 2 seed here. It's another top 4 showdown. 8 o'clock tonight. Sampras for the match. This is the 26th meeting between Sampras and Agassi. They're third in the last 3 events that they have both entered. Sampras has beaten in the last 2.
30 love.
Again, Cliff, Sampras going at the Agassi forehand on the second serve on the first point. And then his favorite serve right up the middle. And Agassi just not reading that one, or not able to get to it. There's another one just missing out wide.
Sensational down the line forehand, just inside the line. Sampras misses it. Still 2 points away.
Sampras crushes another running forehand, but this time Agassi able to answer with one of his own.
Match points for Sampras.
40-15. Sampras wins by 2 sets allowed. 7-6. 6-4.
Sort of a look of relief on Sampras' face when it was over again.
And a little distress, I think, from the face of Andre Agassi, as if to say, hey, if Sampras plays that well, is there really anything I can do about it?
In straight sets, Pete Sampras over Andre Agassi. He is in the final, and he'll wait for the winner of Yevgeny Kafelnikov and Patrick Rafter. More in a minute. ESPN and the ATP Tour's presentation of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com. Andre Agassi leaving the court. Straight set loss to Pete Sampras, the third this year. Pete's at courtside now. Pete, Patrick McEnroe was saying that that was one of the more bizarre second sets he's ever seen.
It was very bizarre. It was from the first set, Andre just lost it a little bit. I was up 4-love. Things were going great. I had a break point there, and 4-1, you know, I lost my concentration just a little bit. I put in 3 double faults, and all of a sudden the whole match just turned around within 5 minutes, and you can't afford to do that against Andre. And all of a sudden it's 4-3. You know, the crowd got behind him a little bit, but managed to serve when I had to really well. I mean, serving for the match, I played a good game.
Well, from the first point, Pete, I mean, both you guys really seem to be at the top of your games. I mean, some great rallies in the first set, no break points. But you guys know that. I mean, you know you have to play your best against Andre.
There's no question. He brings out the best in me, and it's the way it's always been. When I play Andre, his ground game is so strong and hits the ball so heavy. I feel like if I can just hang with him just a little bit, and I got fortunate to win that tiebreaker, and that was really key to the match when I won that first set. And you know, he put so much pressure on my service games. I feel like if I miss a couple shots, or you know, he returns so well, it could really go either way. But you know, the last couple of times I played Andre, it's just come down to a couple breakers, and you know, today I got a little fortunate.
Well, let's go back to the tiebreak now, Pete. You're not going to be able to see it, but our viewers are going to be able to see the 6-all point. You remember that one where he served, then you make the return. It's a sitting duck basically for him. We're watching the serve now. Now you make the return. You decide that you're going to come in. Now you see it. You're kind of sorry that you did decide to come in because you're at his mercy. He's racking this thing up. What's going through your mind right now?
I'm praying at that point. There's no question. I got a little unlucky to hit the net court, but he hit the backhand so hard, and this net is playing pretty tight, and it just bounced up and went wide, and you just need a little luck at that point. I mean, he could have very easily won the first set, and the match could have really changed around. But you know, the difference between Andre and I is 1 point, and that was really the key to the match today, that 6-all point. And from then on, I just got confidence in the second set and ended up winning.
How about tomorrow now, Pete? Obviously last year was a disappointing loss for you in the finals here against Rafter. You've got a good record overall against both guys. Talk about potentially playing Rafter, and then of course Kafelnikov, who you've really dominated.
Well, it's going to be, if I play Pat, obviously it's going to be a lot of serve and volley tennis. He's got a great serve and volley game. He returns quite well, and he doesn't have too many flaws in his game, Pat. And Yevgeny is completely different. He's going to be staying from the backcourt, and he's got good returns. And either way, I feel like I'm playing well, and I feel good, and that's really the key for me.
Yeah, I don't. Thanks a lot, Pete. I thought you were in the zone against Krajcik in the second set. Same thing today against Agassi. Well done.
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
see you in the final.
We'll see you tomorrow. Good job, Pete.
All right.
Pete Sampras is in this Mercedes Super 9 final. We'll take on either Yevgeny Kafelnikov or Patrick Rafter. You can see that match at 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN. More from Cincinnati after this. Pete Sampras 7-6 and then 6-4 over Andre Agassi. Tonight you'll see Rafter and Kafelnikov call that one, Patrick.
I think I like Rafter in that one. I think he's looked great last night, but it's going to be a tight one.
He does not have a great record against Yevgeny Kafelnikov, but we will find out. Our coverage of the Great American Insurance ATP Championship continues live tonight on ESPN at 8 p.m. Defending champ Patrick Rafter takes on Australian Open champ Yevgeny Kafelnikov, and then the championship match tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. on ESPN. Coming up next is the USGA US Women's Amateur Championship. For Patrick McEnroe and Luke Jensen, I'm Cliff Drysdale saying so long from Mason, Ohio, everybody. Once again, Agassi going down to Sampras as we invite you to celebrate another moment in ESPN history.